That boy's sleeping face was so quiet, no one could believe he'd died. Having entrusted his head to her lap, sleeping as if on the brink of death, that boy was the target of Amelia's gaze. Around his brows, there were dark circles that looked as if painted on with soot, caused by and revealing the boy's serious level of sleep deprivation in the harsh environment he was in. It looks like he hasn't been sleeping again.
It can't be helped. In his position, he's got no room for relaxing, most likely. Except for when he comes to see Leah and acts like a baby. Every now and then.
She stroked his forehead and organized his lashes with her fingertips. Watching that sleeping face made free by Amelia, the floating Puck wrapped his long tail around his stomach and sighed. Just like that, he spun around her and examined Amelia's personal quarters. It was a white room. White walls, white floors, a white ceiling, a white bed, white furniture and white curtains. Everything in the room was united with whiteness. Amidst that, Amelia was draped in thin sleepwear that was likewise white, so it was almost pathological. This room was the extent of freedom granted to Amelia, a birdcage which she was confined to. Amelia herself still wondered whether it was appropriate to utilize expressions such as confined.
Leah, are you still angry at this child?
I wonder about that. Amelia hesitated in answering to Puck's question. It was not that it was difficult to put in words. She was just not sure about her own feelings. Well, she had definitely been angry at first, but even now they had not yet made up. To apologize to each other, they did not even have time for that. Without solving that problem, time had simply passed, and daily life had merely continued on.
But I'm upset with you, Puck. While keeping it a secret from me, you made the plan for leaving all by yourself. Sorry, but it couldn't be helped. There was no way I'd entrust you to a Roswell in that state. Right? Dragging someone into a dangerous situation and place, only to then skedaddle out of there is pretty irresponsible of him. That said, if it's for Leah's safety, here's easily the standout option. Avoiding harm to Leah. That boy and I were of the same mind.
So Puck had assented with the secret offer to take Amelia out of Roswell's mansion, and had not hesitated with the withdrawal of the royal selection in cooperating with the association. And with only Amelia unaware of anything, when she finally realized she had found herself in this white room, a bird caught in a cage. But she had no right to criticize Puck's judgment. Amelia also understood. Because, in the end, I couldn't do anything. The royal selection to determine the next monarch of the kingdom of Lagunica. In that battle, Amelia had clearly suffered a tragic defeat, contented with a loss by default. The biggest cause for that was that she had refused to attend the royal candidate meeting. As a result, her participation in the royal selection had not been recognized. That meant that Amelia's sponsor, Roswell L. Mathers, and her both had fallen in status. That was the meaning of the latter's unhinged state. In short, Amelia had not even displayed a will to participate in the royal selection. So her sponsor, Roswell, lost his qualifications. The Amelia camp collapsed before its first task. And so Amelia had the ladder pulled from under her, and so had been defeated without being able to do anything. My wish, it was to create a world without discrimination, creating a place where the births of half-elves and others would not serve as a definite evaluation of one's future life. That was clumsy Amelia's wish. However, without even being given the chance to be spoken aloud, that wish had disappeared like a dream's fantasy. Beyond that wish, too, the freeing of Amelia's hometown, the task of rescuing the residents of Eleanor Forest, still in ice-encased slumber, that too she had been unable to do.
It'd be better to return to the forest rather than living in a defenseless house like that. But Leah was in a situation where even that was impossible. As you can imagine, when the first envoy arrived, I was definitely surprised. Really surprised, because
the boy she had come to meet here, Amelia had believed to be dead. Her fate of not partaking in the royal selection had been determined by the death of the mansion's maid. Rem, that was the girl who had become the first victim of the ruckus caused by the witch beasts. The boy, an outsider who had briefly been working at the mansion, had been a suspect in her death. The boy could not endure the suspicions, so had run away. Chasing him, that Rem's older sister, Ram, had also left the mansion, only to never return. The collapse probably started from there. The cause of Rem's death was discovered to be the curse of the witch beast afterwards. Once the damage spread to the nearby village, two disasters had overlapped, the state unrecoverable. As a result of the chaos caused by the witch beasts, Roswell had lost his position without even seizing an opportunity to recover. Amelia had failed to announce her participation in the royal selection and had met defeat without being defeated, a humiliation for her. The mansion was steadily declining toward the worse, headed toward undesired collapse. It was then, swept away by the helplessness of being unable to change anything, Amelia was spending her days listlessly. But one day, that boy, who was supposed to have disappeared, had come to get her. Puck had quickly responded to that, but Amelia was feeling angry at that boy. Without caring about her feelings, without any explanation, not when first disappearing, not even when he returned. Without saying anything, he was suddenly taking her away. He might even have been the catalyst for the start of the collapse of the world surrounding Amelia. Despite that, like that, reunited with Amelia, the boy with a frail face exhausted from fear, even worse than the one he had possessed now, had latched on, cried, and begged her for help. And at that boy, bawling like a child, Amelia had forgotten to be angry. Maybe she was naive. Maybe she was easy. And even then, Amelia did not think herself worthy of scolding him. That boy who seemed like a child, who had eventually exposed his sleeping, baby-like face. So, the boy would visit Amelia to find himself salvation. He would come looking for her, without saying a single word about what he was doing outside her room's door, just sobbing sadly and talking about his own feelings, and trusting his life to Amelia's knees. Whether she was receiving strong trust, or being looked down upon and being humiliated, that depended on what Amelia thought. And Amelia was not able to give any answer to that. Obviously, this really isn't healthy. That this was not a normal state to be in. Even the immature Amelia realized that. However, Amelia, accepting that clinging boy's tears, looking on the form of the boy letting himself rest for near a moment, in her own inner thoughts, she was unsure. Speaking of the intervals in which the boy sought Amelia, it was about once every 10 days. Other than that, he was desperately struggling, even cutting back on sleep time. Really, they did not exchange many words. But in this way, the boy would secretly come searching for her, for Amelia, once every 10 days. Subaru's such a twit that perhaps she longed for those visits. Amelia had grown aware of that.